الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم.
So today we're going to be talking about Surah At-Takāthur, which means vying for increase. And it's called that because of the mention of Takathur in the first verse. So let's just jump right into the first verse, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألهاكم التكاثر.
So competition and worldly desires diverts you. Al-haakum comes from lahu in Arabic, which means distraction. So it implies to us that we are distracted from something that is more important. We are not focused on the right thing. We are not focused on what is more important. We are focused in increasing what we have, in abundance, in increasing money, wealth, children, etc., gaining possessions. That's what we are focused on, and that is not the right thing to be focused on. We are distracted from what is more important. We are focused on our own selves instead of Allah or things for God's sake. So how often are we distracted by this dunya and wanting more and more and more? I want the new car, I want the new house, I want new clothes, I want the new shoes, just wanting more and more and more. And how often in comparison do we think of Allah and wanting, for example, to pray more or to do more good deeds or to give to the poor or to help the neighbor or to do things that are more for the sake of Allah? Or is it more of I want, for me, for me, for me? So Allah is warning us about this distraction and telling us that we are distracted. And in the next verse, he says,
حتى زرتم المقابر.
Until you visit the graveyards. So you are in this constant distraction in this world until death hits you, until you visit the graveyards. He uses the word visit. Visit is the word we used when something is temporary, right? I go to my friend's house, I'm visiting my friend. So he uses the word visit, and it's a reminder to us that the graves is not the end point. We will be in our graves for a temporary period of time. So we are like just visiting our graves. And then there's something that comes after that. There is a hadith where the Prophet says, لو كان لابن آدم واديا من ذهب لأحب أن يكون له ثانيا ولا يملأ فاه إلا التراب ويتوب الله على من تاب. If the son of Adam had a valley of gold, then he would want to have a second one, and nothing fills his mouth but dust. Yet Allah turns to whoever repents. This hadith is reminding us that we are always going to want more than what we have. Even when we have so much and we think that we'll be happy with that, then it hits us that we want more now, and then we want more, and then we want more, and so on. It's a never-ending cycle. And this hadith is reminding us that all of this abundance and wealth that we are seeking serves no purpose for us after. Because when we go to our graves, there's nothing in our mouths but dust. That's the only thing that we will have. None of this abundance of anything will serve any purpose for us. And then the hadith ends reminding us that Allah turns to who repents. So reminding us that it's not too late to change and make different choices and to turn back to Allah.
كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون.
So these next two verses say, no, you are going to know, then no, you are going to know. So we are being told that we are going to know. Twice we are told this. What is it that we are going to know? We are going to know and realize that we focused on the wrong things and we were distracted from what is more important. Now, it's mentioned twice, and some say this repetition is to emphasize the magnitude of this realization and the importance of this realization. And others say that it's actually pointing to two different points in time when we will have this realization. One being at the point of death, when we realize that we wasted our efforts, and the second being at the point of resurrection or in the hereafter, when we again come to this big realization that we wasted our efforts.
كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين.
And then no, if only you knew knowledge of certainty. Now, yaqeen is something certain, a solid conviction, certainty of something occurring. So if you had the knowledge of certainty, you wouldn't have made the choices that you made. You wouldn't have focused on abundance and worldly desires and so on. What is that knowledge? Knowledge of Allah, knowledge of what is more important, knowledge of the hereafter, knowledge of what is to come. So if you really had that knowledge of that certainty, you wouldn't have made those choices.
لترون الجحيم.
And then you will surely see hellfire. So reminding us that certainly hell is something that is coming after.
ثم لترونها عين اليقين.
Then you will surely see it with the eye of certainty. So before it was just a knowledge of that certainty that's going to happen, but you didn't physically see it. You didn't physically see the hereafter or physically see hell or any of that, but you had the knowledge of that certainty that is coming. And then now you will surely see it with the eye of certainty. So now in the hereafter comes a point when you physically see that certain thing in front of you. You physically with your eyes now can see hell and the hereafter and everything in front of you.
ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم.
And then the last verse says, then you will surely be asked on that day about your blessings. All the comforts and blessings that you had, you will be asked. Whatever it is that you had, water, food, your home, your education, your money, your wealth, your children, what you did with all of these blessings and comforts that you were given, you will be asked about on that day. You will be questioned. So remember that the more you want to have and the more you get in this world, the more you are going to be questioned about what you did with it, the more you are going to be responsible for. So this brings us to the end of Surah At-Takāthur. Some takeaway points from this surah and some reminders is that it's reminding us to really check where we are focusing our efforts. Are we focusing our efforts on trying to please people, or are we focusing our efforts on trying to please Allah? And are we just wanting more and more from this world, or do we want more and more from the next? So to really be aware of where we are putting our time and efforts, and to also remind ourselves that we'll be questioned on everything we have, so we should strive to use everything we have for good, and we should share with others, and we should help others, and we should be there for each other, and just use all the blessings that we have for more good, inshallah.